SloMoBackSlap here, hitting you with a video, and this one is going to be pretty difficult for a lot of people to listen to, so if you're pretty set in your ways and your own opinions, then you may want to check out now. If you actually are open to hearing what someone has to say about the platform that they have spent a good portion of their life enjoying the games on, then by all means, please continue. Phil Spencer did an interview today with Kinda Funny Games, and in this interview he said a lot of things that were in response to the reviews and the reception of their first party offering Redfall, which was critically panned and has evoked widespread disappointment from the entire gaming community. It's currently sitting with a 62 on Metacritic. It probably won't get much higher or lower than that. But the game's a massive disappointment on many levels. Although that's something that could be focused on in a different video at a different time, that's not the full focus of my video here about what this topic is, the problem with Xbox. And the reason why I titled the video as is because there is a problem with Xbox. And if you can't acknowledge that, then I think you're a bit beyond being in a place where you're open-minded enough to think beyond protect the platform. I want to talk about a couple of things, well, technically 3 things that Phil Spencer said. 3 topics of this video that I feel need to be addressed. The first is the internal process. The second is mock reviews. And the third is Phil Spencer himself. So look, I'm not going to do the whole, hey, if you like the video, subscribe, whatever. Look, you like it, you don't like it, whatever. You subscribe, don't subscribe, I don't care. This is probably going to lose me subs, so what? Regardless, let's get into this. So first up, let me do this. Let me give credit to Kinda Funny Games and the XCast for having the interview with Phil Spencer. You will see a link for that interview in the description of this video. But let's discuss the internal process. And so Phil Spencer talks about how through their internal process they were somewhat surprised by the response of Redfall. And you know what, I'll just let his words do the talking here.
Kind of watch the community lose confidence, be disappointed. I'm disappointed. I'm upset with myself. I kind of revisit our process. Every time we deliver something below our own internal expectations that surprises us, we should check our process.
So my response to this is this: what is your internal process? And how much of it needs to be replaced or completely overhauled? This isn't the first time you've been shocked by the games media and gaming community's response to one of your games. This isn't the first time I've heard that you've needed to improve your internal process. I remember hearing it before when they revealed Halo Infinite's campaign gameplay. Had no idea that the pop-in, the Craig face, the very weak level of detail distance, literally the grass is growing as the warthog is driving through it. They had no idea that people would have a problem with these things. Then you knew the game was below your expectations 3 years ago. How is it that you're still releasing first-party games or showing first-party games and they are somehow getting through your internal process? I really wish that could have been dived deeper in when he mentioned their internal process, that somebody there at XCast would have said, hey, Phil, can you explain the internal process so we understand what you're talking about and maybe can help you guide you to what might be wrong with it? But if mock reviews is a part of your internal process, then I can say for certain that we already know about at least one thing that is wrong with it, in addition to a few other things like communication. But let's continue. So let's discuss mock reviews. And we've known for a while now that at Microsoft, at Xbox, they do mock reviews, not of just their own games, but of games of their competitors. We've actually seen leaked a mock review of The Last of Us Part 2, where they very glowingly spoke about the game, talked about the level of quality, talked about how that game was a level of quality markedly higher than what they were currently outputting. So we've seen these mock reviews before. We've seen that they have been honest before. But let's look at Phil Spencer discuss the mock reviews for Redfall.
On the score, yeah, we do mock reviews for every game that we launch, and this is like double digits lower than we thought we would be with this game went through our mock reviews.
Now, Phil said their mock reviews were double digits higher than the actual average of reviews. They either don't have real gamers doing these reviews right now for their games, or they are lying to protect their jobs. I just literally can't see it any other way. There is no way I can believe someone honestly thought Redfall, after playing through the game completely, was a 75 or 80. I predicted maybe a 75, but I didn't play the game. After playing the game, it doesn't deserve anywhere near a 70. So I don't know how their own mock reviews of people played through the game gave them that kind of response. And frankly, if mid-70s is the metric that you're getting, why are you fine with that? Your competitors aren't fine with that level of critical review. Additionally, why are your mock reviewers not showing any honesty here? Do they feel honesty would not be rewarded? And all the Xbox execs market themselves as gamers, including Phil Spencer. We don't know what Doug Bowser's Switch ID is. We don't know what Jim Ryan's PSN ID is. But we know Phil Spencer's gamer tag is P3. If you're going to market yourself as a gamer, you, as a gamer, should be able to look beyond what a lying mock reviewer is saying about your own games. Play it for yourself. See that it is several levels below the quality that you want for your own games with your own impressions. And frankly, you don't drop so many first-party games that you are too busy to actually try out the product that you are peddling to your consumer base. This is the core of what you're about. It's not the hardware. It's not the services. It's about the games. That's the purpose of the entire platform, is to play games. If your actual product is not quality, all the other stuff is worthless. So it goes beyond just the mock reviews. It's what you're doing. Did you play Redfall, Phil? Did Pete Hines play Redfall? How are you surprised by this response? You can't be.
In the business of out-consoling Sony or out-consoling Nintendo. There isn't really a great solution or win for us. And I know that will upset a ton of people, but it's just the truth of the matter is that when you're third place in the console marketplace and the top two players are as strong as they are and have, in certain cases, very discrete focus on doing deals and other things that will that kind of make being Xbox hard for us as a team. That's on us, not on anybody else. Our vision is that everybody who's on console has to feel like they have a great experience and they're a first-class citizen. They've invested a ton in our platform, but we are not in a position, and I see it out there. I see commentary that if you just build great games, everything would turn around. It's just not true that if we go off and build great games, all of a sudden you're going to see console share shift in some dramatic way.
I disagree with Phil about great games not bringing people to your platform. I think he's more wrong about this than when he said single player games couldn't make money anymore. And he was dead wrong about that. An 11 out of 10 Starfield may not get people to sell their PlayStation 5, but it may get them to pick up an Xbox 2. This mindset about games and their games not meeting the quality of the games that Sony and Nintendo make. It shows there is this massive disconnect between what the gaming community wants from Xbox and what he intends to provide. I understand if you feel like making those kind of quality titles will not equal and coming out of third place on consoles. And that's no longer your focus, and that's fine. But that shouldn't deter you from attempting to make those kind of experiences. I'm not saying you have to make third-person over-the-shoulder sad dad games. I'm not saying you need to make a new Zelda. It's about the quality of the title. It's about the level of quality that you put in and to make sure those games are absolutely hitting the goals and the vision of the studio. This isn't the first time I've heard Phil Spencer say this, and I'm sure other people have heard him say something similar in interviews. To claim that there is no great game that can get people to buy an Xbox ignores the fact that Nintendo came off a failed Wii U that only sold 13 million units and they had to abandon. Drop Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild with a new platform, and it's now their most successful platform ever. One game helped them do that. And Phil wants to believe that 6 years ago makes it not relevant because that happened in 2017. We saw something similar happen just this year with Hogwarts Legacy. Sony PlayStation had the marketing for that game. We know that we have quantifiable evidence of people going out and buying PlayStations specifically to play that one game, not knowing it was also on Xbox, not knowing it was also on PC. People literally thought the only way to play the game was on PlayStation, and they bought PlayStation 5s because of it. This idea that system sellers are dead is completely false and tells me everything I need to know about Phil Spencer's capabilities on delivering the core executables. Games. Gamers aren't asking you to drop great games and then you'll be in first place. They're asking you to just drop great games, period, bro. You don't have the same level of quality assurance that your competition does. And that has nothing to do with a console war. It has nothing to do with your focus on multiple platforms. It's about the focus not being on making the best games you can possibly make. Phil made it painfully obvious in this interview that their focus is not that. He admitted that they would have needed to know from Arcane Austin that Redfall wouldn't be 60 frames per second on series consoles last fall. That essentially last fall, they had no idea. They had no idea that game would be 60 frames per second. Why wasn't this communication made as soon as you acquired them and told them to stop working on a PlayStation version of the game? You should have made sure that this game was meeting your level of expectation then. Your competitors are sending their own employees to third-party developers to help make sure those games run well on their own platforms. Why aren't you doing that? You know, maybe it's time for a change. And when I say that, I'm not calling Phil Spencer a disaster or horrible for the brand, as some people would say. He's kept the Xbox brand alive during last generation. He convinced the CEO not to get rid of Xbox. He has helped the gaming industry as a whole far more than many are willing to admit. But sometimes you need a change in direction or a change in leadership to push beyond where someone is capable of taking you. Allow me to use a sports analogy. The Golden State Warriors, they used to be the joke of the NBA at one point. It had been decades since they won the championship, and no one was expecting them to ever do so again either. They hired a head coach, a former player, Mark Jackson, who elevated the level of play and intensity from the team that they once were. He drafted the right players, he got them to play hard, he got the Warriors into the playoffs. But after multiple attempts at the playoffs to make it to the championship, they failed. Mark wasn't able to get them to the final dance. He had gone as far as he could take them. They needed someone else to get them over that hump. They need someone else who could look at the team, make some adjustments, replace some pieces, and perform better as a coach in the playoffs. And Steve Kerr was that coach. And look at them now, 4 championships later. If you're afraid to make the change due to someone's past accomplishments, then you're always going to be exactly where you are. If I was Satya, the CEO, I would at least look at hiring someone to completely take over the game's content portion of Phil's job. If not outright, just replace him. If Matt Booty isn't able to do his position of being the lead for first party developers the way that he would like to do it, I would elevate Matt to a role that would give him that kind of autonomy. Of course, Matt Booty wasn't in charge, it isn't in charge of Redfall, but if Bethesda needs someone to make sure there is a quality assurance happening, to make sure that their games, which are now Xbox games, hit a certain level of quality, then you need to do what you need to do. But if this cannot happen, if you can't get your games to hit a level of quality, not that they need to be exactly like a Nintendo game or exactly like a PlayStation game, but hit the same level of quality while also being in their own lane, you have to move on to someone who can actually accomplish that. You can keep the infrastructure that Phil Spencer and his team have developed, but you need someone else to bring your players to your platform, to bring new players to your platform, to bring great games to this platform. And great games is the only way you're going to grow your Game Pass subscription service. It's the only way you're going to grow your platform in mobile, on PC, and every other arena that you want to put Xbox games in. People aren't coming if the games aren't there. And the only way to deliver those games is to come from you. And if that's not your focus, you got to find somebody who makes that their focus. in retrospect, I don't think Matt Booty's that guy either. I think you need someone from the outside, someone who has a fresh perspective, someone who has not been indoctrinated in the ways that Phil Spencer believes a platform should be managed. Someone new to come in to be a bit firmer with first party, to tell Playground Games, no, I will show your game now, whether you like it or not, because I know what's best for this platform that I'm in charge of. That's what they need, because this mentality that Phil has, I'm sorry, it's a loser mentality. And you're never going to be a winner if you think like a loser. But that's my video. Appreciate you guys for sticking with it to the end. I commend you if you have. Hope you guys took my words with an open mind and not just going to absolutely slander me in the comments, which I do expect some of you to do, so have at it. Enjoy the rest of your day. Peace out. Play your games.